An added requirement to enter this year's Lollapalooza Music Festival.
Vaccination card, COVID test.
Physical proof of vaccination.
I went to office.
An added requirement to enter this year's Lollapalooza Music Festival.
Vaccination card, COVID test.
Physical proof of vaccination.
I went to office.
Vaccine cards out, please.
Festival goers this weekend. I saw some videos where, you know, people at the gates are basically just waving these folks in. They're just holding up their vaccine cards. Is that enough scrutiny to make sure that these aren't fake or someone else's?
I heard about that, but I was at those gates too. On Thursday, I was at the gates again yesterday. So we've been very clear with the Lolla folks. They have to have tight security. Dr. Artie, I think, indicated that she went a little bit incognito, didn't have all of her information, looked a bit different, and they put her through the paces. So we feel comfortable that the protocols that are in place are solid. We know that they've turned away hundreds of people over the course of the event. And as I said, from the time that we fully opened up on June 11th, we've had literally millions of people gathering at large-scale events all across the city, ball games, festivals, and so forth, and we haven't.
Oh yeah, that looked really, really tight. I am Jerry Vasilatos, and welcome to tonight's Chicago Corner as we discuss the stories of the week, and I'm joined tonight with my colleague and good friend, Kit Cabello. Welcome, Kit.
It's very good to be here. I forgot how tough it was to run Chicago Corner since you've been doing a fantastic job. We're glad to have you back. But it was really great hosting with Jose and E. Heller last week. And we're glad to have you back. And it's always awesome to see how fast Chicago Corner is growing. And plus, on top of that, too, I want to give you a shout out, as well as Casey and E. Heller, for the hard work that you guys did for the March for Medicare for All Chicago event, where you guys not only got all the speakers put up on here on the Chicago Corner YouTube channel, but also did a very detailed, high-definition version of the coverage that's available on Hardlands Media. And again, great to have you back. And I'm really excited to be a guest co-host and not the guy running the show, because you have set a standard that now I have to follow.
Oh, well, listen, thank you for that. I appreciate it greatly. It's great to be back. I really missed you guys while I was away. I had set up all of those Medicare for All speeches to auto upload and auto premiere so that our channel would be busy while I was away. And of course, you guys handled things last week great. I don't know if I'm perfect with the technical side of the show. I do tend to fumble things sometimes, but I think you guys did great. And I'm still learning as I'm operating the board here as we're talking about everything that's happening here in Chicago. And what a week it was following stuff. So I was out in Las Vegas and I was wearing my mask, everybody. And it seemed like right when I arrived, the mask mandate started to go public again, as far as updating everybody in the news. Like, everybody's got to start wearing masks again in public, indoors. I was surprised to discover that people weren't wearing masks indoors in casinos to begin with. I can kind of understand outdoors, but yeah, and I guess Vegas was suddenly identified by Chicago as kind of a hot spot. So I'm sticking to myself for a week. I'm vaccinated, but even though I was wearing my mask, I don't want to take any chances seeing my family members because of this crazy Delta variant that if you're vaccinated and you get it, It might not kill you, but you can easily not realize you have it and pass it to other people. That's why we wear masks, to protect others. Yeah. And this was a big cause of concern this weekend at Deltapalooza, as I'm going to constantly refer to it, because when you see the amount of the thousands that were in that crowd, Kit, it's so let's just jump into our first story. Let me set this up really quickly, because we were talking about this before we went on the air tonight. And, you know, we've got Mayor Lightfoot, of course, defending Lollapalooza. I'm going to read a little bit from the story here. She said the city can safely reopen due to the vaccines. However, did you know that only half of Chicagoans are vaccinated? Half of Chicago is what this says, this article from Block Club Chicago.
So look, I understand there's a lot of people that have reservations of the vaccination. I understand so, and I get it. Look, the way our federal government has handled this entire situation, state governments, local governments, everyone, the American people don't know who to trust anymore. Now, I myself have been vaccinated, but I understand why people have not chosen to get vaccinated as well. But the only thing I can ask right now, and that is, look, no matter what you've done, whether you're vaccinated or not, wear a mask, wash your hands, because we're not out of the woods yet. And it doesn't surprise me that half the city is not vaccinated. There's a lot of scared people out there. There's a lot of frightened people out there. And, you know, seeing as how we were abandoned in 2020 and still being abandoned in 2021, who can you trust at this point? And I hate being that person, but, you know, everyone just, we just got to be safe and be aware for each other. That's all I can really add. Well,
look, letting this festival go forward in the face of the fact that the 50% of Chicagoans aren't vaccinated. The article says the mayor faced increased scrutiny for allowing the festival to be held. It typically attracts 100,000 people per day, fueling concerns it could turn into a super spreader event as Delta variant surges around the United States. Now, this came from Block Club Chicago on August 1st during Lollapalooza. And Chicago's case rate and positivity rate have been on the rise. And Dr. Allison Arwady, head of the health department, said last week she does expect to see COVID-19 cases associated with Lolla. Now, I think this was today. She's suddenly backpedaling. Now she says COVID-19 cases are on the rise, but not because of Lollapalooza. And I'm going to quote my sister-in-law, Dana, who brilliantly said what this was all about on social media as we were talking about this. Chicago hustle as usual. The purchase price of the 4-day ticket was $400, with $125 of that going to the city of Chicago for a handling fee. Can you do the math on that? Looking at the sea of people at Lollapalooza, money grab as usual.
It was. And here's another thing, too. Look, heaven forbid, this truly is a super spreader event. I saw the videos over the weekend, and let's just say I'm going to be hesitant on getting on the CTA because those trains were packed to the gills with people. No social distancing, no nothing. And the sad fact is that Mayor Lightfoot, she was trying to say that she regretted it, or trying to make the idea that she was somehow regretful for it, but she still followed through with it. She knew the risk. Mayor Lightfoot made this decision and chose to have Lollapalooza happen. It should not have happened, but at the end of the day, it was about money, and it really calls into question on whether or not she will truly run in 2023. Because if the results do come in and there is a huge spike in people who are dying from COVID-19 or getting infected from the Delta variant, well, then Mayor Lightfoot will be a one-term mayor, and then we will be back to selecting, well, whoever will be next, our new mayor here in Chicago. Because right now, our current leadership just basically gave the okay for something this maddening to continue on. Lollapalooza should not have happened at all.
It was a reckless and irresponsible money grab. And while I can understand people getting out, look, when you go downtown or when you're outside jogging, walking, shopping, people are able to maintain some distance from one another, which is what has allowed the city to slowly reopen. I don't see a problem with that so long as people are careful. But when you've got a sea of people shoulder to shoulder, and you saw how they were letting people in through those gates, they weren't scrutinizing their vaccination cards. They weren't scrutinizing their test results. And for Lightfoot to stand there and act like that was, I would also say wherever Lightfoot was reviewing things, I'm sure that everybody like kept a tight lid on things wherever she was. But when you see the video that came from all other entrances to the park, that wasn't happening everywhere at all. Yeah, it was a money grab. And so from what Arwadi said today, this came from WTTW, and this is going to tie into our other stories also with the eviction moratorium extension and some of the relief or some of the resources that the city was offering people while not personally extending the eviction moratorium here locally. They were waiting for Biden and Congress to do it. I think, if I'm understanding correctly, states can extend the eviction moratoriums. It's not just a federal thing. Am I wrong on that? Okay, so yeah.
Well, again, it depends on the policy of the governor and also with the state legislature. But again, in emergency situations, I'm pretty sure the state has or state governors have the authority to continue on with holding people getting evicted from their home.
So Pritzker could have done something and he didn't. After everybody bailed out of Congress the other day to go on vacation because they don't want to extend the eviction moratorium. Why, Kit? Because landlords have a big lobby in Washington. They don't want to continue going on without collecting rent, despite the fact people aren't working and have lost their jobs. And you've got companies like corporate landlord companies like BlackRock foaming at the mouth at the opportunity to pick up all these properties that a lot of smaller landlords might possibly bail on because people can't pay their rents and there's no relief for them or their tenants. Anyway, actually, let's move on to that. We see how Lolla and what happened there, it would potentially spread what's going on. Let me quote from the article real quick. The number of COVID-19 cases is once again rising in Chicago following the massive Lollapalooza film festival. I was thinking of my absence, which drew hundreds of thousands of people to Grant Park last weekend. But Chicago Department of Public Health Commissioner Dr. Ellison Arwadi says the 4-day event is not to blame. We're clearly on the way up, not as a result of Lolla. Just to be very clear about that, while she said last week we would be seeing an increase because of it, we're on the way up because the surge that we're expecting is coming, she said. Adding officials had been expecting a surge due to rising case counts elsewhere in the country. I do expect to continue to rise, she said. Chicago's now recording 234 cases per day based on a 7-day average, according to CDPH data. In the past week, the number of cases has increased 40%, according to city data. Look, you, me, everybody was predicting this last year. Once we reopened, everyone was going to get comfortable, and we were going to see another spike. It's like the 1917 and 1918 pandemics. You can literally take the charts from 2020 and 2021, lay them against 1917 and 1918, when people were just as reckless, thinking, oh, it's okay, we can open up again. And the following year, everything went up again.
Look, I hope that things don't get as bad as we think it will get. I truly hope that, again, what I want and what can happen are two different things altogether. But at the end of the day, if things become terrible, if there is a huge spike in people getting infected with the Delta variant, people dying from the Delta variant, well, then we need, especially here in Chicago, well, then the chief architect, the person to blame, the person who's going to take criticism, who hates to take criticism, is going to have to be our oh so fantastic, also wonderful Mayor Lightfoot. And she's going to have to deal with it. She's going to have to take the responsibility for it. And she's going to have to explain to the people of Chicago why our city is being crippled by a huge outbreak, potentially, of the Delta variant. Now, again, maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe there isn't a huge spike. But if it does happen, and if it has to shut down the city, it's not going to look good. And plus, on top of that, too, I mentioned this on last week's show as well, and even one time when I was hosting with you, it wasn't too long ago in 2020 where McCormick Place was being considered as a makeshift emergency hospital. For our viewing audience who are outside from Chicago, just Google McCormick Place if you have time. It's a wonderful, beautiful area.
It's huge.
Huge space for events.
Convention center. Imagine a convention center in your city filled with hospital beds. And I don't want to be alarmist, Kit. I really don't. I tend to try to err on the side of caution, and everything that I'm seeing happening right now just seems like It is. It's utterly reckless, and it's not thinking twice, and it's not thinking for what we just managed to kind of survive. I remember the videos last February. We were all terrified. It was like, literally, it was like the opening of what was it? The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, where you saw the map and people traveling across the country and the infection spreading. That's how freaked out people were, and we weathered it. And then we reopened quickly because our government does not want to properly take care of people, pay them to stay home while they've lost their jobs, pay landlords the proper relief so they can keep their properties, pay businesses so that they can reopen, because they shoveled the money to all the big corporations, and they just don't give one goddamn about any of us. And this goes back to our Medicare for All event. Middle of the pandemic, they don't want to give us Medicare for all to protect people. They don't want to provide any kind of relief that's going to cost them money that takes away from fueling our military-industrial complex, dropping bombs on, of all places, fucking Somalia. What threat are the Somalians right now that we can't use that money to take care of our own instead of killing people overseas? It's, as you say, Kit, it's madness.
It is. It's madness and stupidity. And the thing is, look, I'm born and raised in Chicago. I lived in this city my entire life. There is a lot to do here, and I never want to hear anyone say that there's nothing happening in Chicago, a city of 6 million people. There's always something happening in this city. And I understand why people want to return things back to normal. Look, I would love for that to happen. But if we're not on the side of caution, it's going to get worse. And I doubt that a second lockdown will be successful because, again, a lot of people were abandoned, including here in Chicago. Chicagoans had to survive on their own. Mayor Lightfoot made it clear she's against universal basic income. She's not using the TIF funds to help out the communities.
Oh, why would she?
She's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So the sad fact is, the real truth out of all of this is that for this brief moment, I think a lot of people enjoyed themselves for Deltapalooza. Fine, so be it. But there's a cost. And there's a cost for treating this virus like it's a little plaything. It's not. And if the numbers do rise up, this city's going to hurt. And we got to hold those people in power accountable, like Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Well, she's going to be held accountable when other candidates emerge to run against her, if she even has the courage to run again after how she's so badly bungled things and completely reneged on all the promises she made, running as a progressive, which is the word that it seems all neoliberal Democrats have co-opted to pretend that that's what they are. And we have to find another phrase for ourselves, because now progressive, like liberal, just has a bad connotation with it because of those that co-opt that label and don't actually fulfill what those labels are supposed to represent to the electorate.
You know what? I'm going to cross the Chicago River, also known as the Rubicon, and take on the name of the Caesarean Party.
The Caesarean Party, all right. Well, let's move on to our next story. This was big news today. So Lightfoot, in the light of the moratoriums, the eviction moratorium that passed. Now, this came to us a few days ago. Let me play the video so we can actually hear some details from the actual video instead of me reading it, because I think it's better for our viewers that way. Here we go.
State of Illinois is ending, so is the national one. That means that beginning August 1st, landlords in Illinois will be able to start filing evictions in court. Those evictions could be enforced as early as September 1st.
With the Delta variant rising, we're going to be possibly putting a lot of people out on the street, putting people in the shelters and all that, which is not what we want to see. It's also right before school that many of these families that are going to be facing eviction are going to have children.
Tenants' rights groups say several thousand families could be at risk of eviction. This as Governor J.B. Pritzker is gradually phasing out the eviction moratorium implemented during the pandemic.
Landlords are able to file evictions in court starting August 1st. They cannot be enforced until September 1st. Many courts will have a busy docket.
Terry Ross is the executive director of Illinois Legal Aid Online. She is worried about an avalanche of evictions and what may follow.
I think the last thing that anybody wants is to have mass evictions and have buildings that are empty and can't be rented to because They don't want to rent to people who have just been evicted.
Ross says small landlords who are able to get forbearances on their mortgages may be able to give more leeway to renters. John Bartlett from the Metropolitan Tenants Organization says Illinois' eviction moratorium phase-out is happening too soon.
There's still a lot of money of rental assistance that's out there that has not been able to get to people yet.
A second round of federal assistance includes $500 million. The cutoff to apply has passed, but the Illinois Housing Development Authority is still distributing the money directly to landlords who applied jointly with tenants.
So I'm going to pause this for a second. We got a comment in the live chat from E. Heller that Pritzker extended the Illinois eviction moratorium for another month. Now, this is good news. I was actually looking for any updates that were related to our local politicians here in Illinois or Chicago, and I didn't see anything as of I think 10 minutes before the show. So E. Heller, thanks for sharing that. That is good news, along with the fact that the CDC apparently put some pressure on the president and Congress, and which is why Biden tonight decided to announce that they were extending it through, I believe, October 3rd, as this article is saying. Now, you guys were talking about this, I think, on the show this week, or maybe even tonight, Kit. I didn't get a chance to see tonight's broadcast, but were you guys, did Biden announce this in time for when you guys were talking about this on Hardlands Media?
Well, we do know, and huge shout out to Frank Analysis. He was there live streaming at the Congressional, at the Capitol building, at the steps where AOC and Cori Bush were celebrating a victory. What they did was kick the can down the road. So Biden is extending it, but the problem still remains, folks. So the threat is still very real for a lot of Americans. They just extended it just so that our representatives can still enjoy their 6-week vacation. And
of course,
so there we go.
Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new eviction moratorium that would last until October 3rd, as the Biden administration sought to quell intensifying criticism from progressives that it was allowing vulnerable renters to lose their homes during a pandemic. The ban announced Tuesday could help keep millions in their homes as the coronavirus's Delta variant has spread and states have been slow to release federal rental aid. It would temporarily halt evictions in counties with substantial and high levels of virus transmissions and would cover areas where 90% of the U.S. population lives. The announcement was a reversal for the Biden administration, which allowed an earlier moratorium to lapse over the weekend. And you'd think that they would have, not let it lapse instead of having to come back now after the CDC put some pressure on them. That ripped open a dramatic split between the White House and progressive Democrats who insisted the administration do more to prevent some 3.6 million Americans from losing their homes during the COVID-19 crisis. So, look, good thing that the CDC exerted some muscle here. Good thing that they forced Dementia Joe to come forward and extend this for at least a little bit more time, but I fear it's not going to be enough time. And, Kit, maybe in this next month, if this Delta variant ends up being more damaging than we're expecting, everybody's going to have to come back to Congress, and it's going to be emergency again, like it was last year, coming up with some solutions and relief.
Yeah. Look, I actually sent you in the private chat how Cori Bush and progressive lawmakers and activists are hailed for the new CDC eviction moratorium. But look, this is a big problem here for everyone in the city of Chicago, that the can was just kicked down the road.
As it always is. It always is. Like with the unemployment relief last year, when Trump, Nancy was going to get us more money, then Trump lost, then suddenly it wasn't a priority anymore, and Joe gave us less than $1,400 because we got $6. That's all these fuckers do. I'm sorry, YouTube algorithm.
I must apologize. I must step out. I think someone's knocking on my door.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. I apologize for this.
Yeah. I'll go on ranting. Anyway, so from this article that Kit just shared with me, this is what happened in Washington with Cori Bush and the progressives. Let me bring myself up here on screen so we can talk about it a little bit. So progressive lawmakers, activists hailed for new CDC eviction moratorium. I think the message here today is clear, said Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's that everyday people can make change. We can always demand better. I mean, look, when she was talking about running into Congress after they found out that they were going to adjourn, and then she and Cori Bush went off to the Capitol, sleep on the steps with everybody else. It just seems like it's too little too soon. Here's Kit. Kit, are you back?
Yep.
Okay. What was that? An Amazon delivery or a visitor?
No, I don't know. They were just somebody trying to, like, whatever. Go away. Busy.
Wear Pilgrim. Jerry with the mouth. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I can't quite control myself. I hear about that from my mother all the time. Cori Bush is also blue MAGA herself. Yeah, I would say that that's kind of what it's looking like, along with AOC and the rest of the back to brunchers. Well, we had another interesting development that I saw while I was out of town that I can personally attest to and speak to. And I'm going to run the video from this story, which comes to us from CBS Chicago. This is related to what we all deal with in Chicago, the traffic scameras, as I call them. Now,
I hate those things. God, I hate them.
After I run this video to share with everybody, I'm going to share my experience and how utterly corrupt this system is. But let me run the video because this relates to how corrupt it is. They made a mistake. Rules for thee and not for me. And we're going to see if they reverse this. But something tells me I don't think so. Where's our audio?
Big mistake with the city's speeding ticket system, leaving drivers on the hook. But now it's the city saying it will pay up.
When you see the speed camera flash, you know you've been caught.
Right here. That's my car.
The proof is captured in pictures and video.
So you are guilty. You would look at this and say that I'm guilty because it's on camera. I'm not denying that I may have been speeding. Very frustrating.
But Angelisa Winding still wants to challenge this ticket because of something CPS2 discovered.
I'm very angry about it.
Angry?
It's stressful.
Because of a mistake. It could mean she and thousands of others like her do not deserve speeding tickets.
Here's what happened. I was working on an investigation about the city's decision to start ticketing drivers for going just 6 miles over the speed limit. One of the first things we did was look at all the video.
We scrolled through and noticed a quick shot of a sign warning drivers about a speed camera ahead. Something caught our eye, so we checked it again. Stop, blow it up. Now take a closer look. You may not notice, but there's something wrong with it. The hours. Speed limit enforced between 6 a.m. and 9:30 a.m.
The sign's wrong.
It's supposed to be 9:30 p.m.
Exactly.
Wrong sign is on Cicero, pointing to a camera around the corner on Lawrence Avenue.
So Kit, they're never going to refund all that. Their sign was wrong. Their sign gave the wrong information. They issued the tickets. And as I said before, rules for thee, not for me. Let's watch the rest of this. But that's exactly at the heart of this and the story that I'm going to share from my personal experience. And then another video I'm going to show from Rosemont. I've wanted to do this segment for a while on our traffic scammers, and we can talk about it. But let me finish this segment.
At 11:08 a.m. at 6:04 p.m. on Lawrence Avenue.
That's where this driver, who didn't want to be identified,
Another 35 there.
racked up 4 $35 tickets between late March and early May.
The sign clearly says it's enforceable between 6 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. So all these tickets were issued after 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
Well, obviously it's wrong.
Attorney J.C. Zona, best known for filing a class action lawsuit challenging Chicago's red light cameras.
They're being notified incorrectly of the time these cameras are being enforced.
Are there other wrong signs out there? We went looking, crisscrossing Chicago, eyeballing nearly 300 speed camera signs. We found one more. Rewind to the top of this story.
I'm very angry about it.
Remember Angelisa Winding?
Was it a typo?
In the ticket she wanted to challenge?
Did they mess up?
Because of this misprinted speed camera warning sign on Jeffrey?
I shouldn't have gotten a ticket.
April 20th at 5:09 p.m.
I would have been coming from work that way and turning here.
She turned from Jeffrey onto 75th Street. The camera flashed, catching Rodney going 36 in a 30. She got slapped with a...
How dangerous. 6 miles over in a 30 zone.
Oh my God, wow. She should be in the next Fast and the Furious movie.
Public enemy number one.
$35.
Oh my God.
So my question is, why am I getting a ticket if it says 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.?
Good question.
Good question indeed. You shouldn't get a ticket at all.
Is wrong. How could that happen? That's a question we took to the Chicago Department of Transportation, which oversees the speed camera program. They hired the vendor that inspects signs.
Signs like these were last checked in May. CDOT says the vendor missed the time mistake.
And the agency has addressed this oversight with the vendor.
There's going to be more when I share my experience with you related to these vendors, these 1, 2, 3 sets of eyes that are supposed to review everything when they issue traffic camera tickets.
CDOT forgave the vendor. No such mercy for drivers.
That's $35 there.
$35.
They're still expected to pay the fine. Taking a look at just March 1st through March 27th at the Lawrence camera, nearly 10,000 tickets were issued and drivers fined nearly $250,000.
I want the money.
What?
Our unidentified driver owes the city $140. And on 75th, more than 1,700 drivers were caught on camera and fined about $53,000.
Something is wrong.
Winding got one $35 ticket after passing the wrong sign on Jeffrey.
Something is clearly wrong.
A wrong CDOT has now fixed. But only because the CBS2 investigators alerted them.
How interesting they didn't fix it, even though they knew there was a problem, because, you know, you don't want to stop all those tickets going out.
Yeah, it's all one big money
I
racket.
hope that the city does the right thing and refunds those tickets.
Good luck.
Rightfully issued. That would be the right thing to do.
So that's the question we took to the Department of Finance in the mayor's office. Why not refund the money of those who've already paid the tickets and dismiss the tickets of those who haven't?
It took several days to get a response.
Of course.
But within the last few hours, finally, a victory for drivers. The city promises to do the right thing. Review the tickets and issue refunds.
Review them, though. They're going to review them first. They went this once before to kick the can down the road, and then they gave when a situation like this came up before with a question about the accuracy of traffic cameras, people didn't get full refunds.
Dorothy Tucker, CBS2 investigators.
Okay, so
the CBS2 investigators just learned the wrong sign on Cicero was put up in July 2020.
2020, a year,
Jeffrey has
a year ago.
Since December. Dorothy's been relentless in exposing the red light.
All right, so this is where I'm going to bring this to our conversation, Kit. Not only did that sign reflect the wrong times, if anybody who, and I'm not advocating for speeding, and I'm not advocating for running red lights. Sometimes these are a matter of judgment calls, especially red lights. If you're going through an intersection, and remember, we had those really short yellows that they timed to make sure that they would ticket more people.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're worried about rear-ending somebody. Sometimes you're worried. My two tickets one of my tickets I got many years ago, the light turned yellow and it was raining, and it's like either brake hard and skid into the intersection or just run the yellow, and the light turned red as I was going into the intersection. So, little known fact, if all of you look at any traffic camera tickets that you get, the tickets by state and municipal codes, and I've got the municipal codes up here because I have a Facebook page I created. It's called Beat Your Romcam Ticket, where this defense actually used to work. Chicago Municipal Code 9-102-030 and Illinois Code 625 ILC S5/11-208.3. Both of these ordinances indicate that any traffic camera that's issued is supposed to identify the make of your vehicle on that camera ticket. All camera tickets that are issued in the city of Chicago identify the make of your vehicle as other. Now, it's very easy when they are supposed to review the traffic tickets. I remember, what was her name? Rebecca Scheinfeld had testified, this was like 7 or 8 years ago, on how the cities deal with Xerox. When the ticket goes to the city, they have 3 sets of eyes looking at it to make sure that everything is correct. This is when there was the issue with the short yellows. Nobody asked her when you say that there are 3 sets of eyes on these tickets that aren't identifying the make of your vehicle. When the whole point of it needing to identify the make of your vehicle, Kit, is that if somebody takes your license plate, puts it on their car, and runs a red, the powers that be are supposed to look at the make of the vehicle, which they can easily identify from your license plate to identify if they're ticketing the correct vehicle. So when they say there are 3 sets of eyes reviewing these tickets with the Secretary of State's office, they can easily identify the make of your vehicle before they issue the tickets. They don't do that. Rules for thee, not for me. So on 2 occasions, the first occasion, I actually looked up this ordinance and I defended my ticket. And the judge that I appeared before in a contest by mail said, "You're right. I'm dismissing this ticket. The make of your vehicle is not identified on this ticket. Therefore, it's not correct." Second time, I went before a hearing officer, Judge Chico, who is essentially an administrative law judge. These are lawyers moonlighting for the city to collect money for them. And that was the instance where I went through the intersection that was wet and I was worried about sliding. And he said, "Well, you know, it looks like you really sped through that light." And I said, "I'm not here on a speeding violation. I'm here on a red light violation. And, you know, the speed is irrelevant." And he said, "Well, I'm not going to allow your defense, but I'm going to allow you to appeal it." So I had to pay a lawyer $1,000 to come to court with me because I talked to J.C. Zolna. And I think it was J.C. Zolna, was one of these lawyers who is representing people on behalf of these red light cameras. And I'll double check who the lawyer was. I don't know if it was Zolna or somebody else, but the attorney that I went to was going to start a class action on my behalf and said, "Take this to court. We see that you had the other one dismissed, but, you know, take this to court to appeal it, and we will use that information to involve you in the class action we're creating." So I hired the attorney, went to court. The judge dismissed the second one on the face of the fact that the ordinance was not properly enforced. And then I went back to the attorney and said, "Well, we can't include you in the class action because you don't have any damages." So I established precedent twice. And apparently since then, and the city caught on to the fact that people were using that correct defense, and that ordinance is still on the books in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. They're supposed to identify the make of your vehicle on the tickets. There was a judge who ruled in Chicago that just seeing your car in the photograph is proper enough to identify the make. So they don't have to identify it up top. Therefore, no one was able to continue using these defenses, even though the ordinances say you're supposed to be identified. This is a fucking money grab, up, down, all around, as Lollapalooza was with what the city was charging off these tickets, as these traffic cameras. I remember when Rahm Emanuel was mayor, and he was caught his motorcade was caught running red lights. And what did he say? "Well, I paid the fine." Well, then, Rahm, it was clearly never about safety, as you guys are shoving down our throats, not properly following the city and the state municipal codes, identifying the make of our vehicles, as in this story that we just saw, that CBS investigates, revealed that, you know, that sign has been up for a year until it was brought to their attention that the times were wrong while they were raking in money for the city. So I filibustered enough. Kit, your thoughts?
Well, the thing is, the red light cameras have always been a scam ever since they were set up. Rahm Emanuel, of course, when that infamous motorcade where he ran the red light was during his second election, where he was running up against Chuy Garcia. I really doubt that he paid the goddamn fine, because we know that he didn't do that. They just did it. They were caught. And the thing is, the city officials are okay with raking it in. Here's the only way we can really truly demolish the red light camera scams, and that is if people are truly aware of their surroundings and are extremely careful how they do drive. We got to make these things more expensive. We got to put the cost onto the city. But the sad fact is that when we do put that cost on the city, then we get taxed even more. What we need in 2023 is progressive lawmakers to run for city council, to run for the office of mayor, and actually end the tyranny of the red light cameras. They're not making the roads safer. They're not contributing anything. What they are is bleeding the people of this city dry, and they got to go. They're not contributing to a goddamn thing. As far as I'm concerned, anyone that has been advocating for the red light cameras needs to be removed from office immediately, and we must again reimburse the people of Chicago so that we can get rid of these goddamn tyrannical red light cameras.
Well, now keep in mind, I think that they've been getting rid of them downstate. And, and states, yeah, well, I agree with you. And states all around the country have been eliminating this because they realize that it's not about safety. Let me also just share this extra story from Rosemont that talks about how this really is about trapping people with we just saw the signs here in Chicago. So I'm going to share, this comes out of Rosemont. And I actually looked this up because I got trapped at this particular right turn lane in Rosemont. It's outside Chicago, so I think it falls within the range of Chicago corner and what we're talking about. But let me share this also.
This is the right-hand turn lane in Rosemont with a red light camera. Critics say it's misleading and that drivers could easily roll through the stop at the red light camera curve. The I-Team found that the camera is also a huge moneymaker. This busy intersection in the heart of Rosemont is near the convention center, popular restaurants, hotels, and a casino. The red light camera located at this hotspot is bringing in millions of dollars for the village.
Are you really giving people tickets on technicalities, or are you trying to put things in place to protect safety?
Thank you.
Driver Scott Albrecht and others are fuming over one camera facing a right turn lane going northbound at this intersection, River Road and Higgins.
It fooled me because I got a ticket at this. That's how I found this story. I'm like, did I run a red? No, I didn't. And I looked up the intersection. I found this story. I'm like, oh, so I'm not the only one who's been trapped at this intersection.
It's confusing and call
a lot of people are
camera trap for two reasons.
These signs sometimes are misleading.
First, they're questioning this no turn on red when pedestrians are present sign, saying as they approach the right-hand curve lane,
no pedestrians.
They think they can keep on going if there are no pedestrians.
As long as there's no pedestrians in front of me, and which there wasn't, so I keep going.
Edgar Londano contested his ticket in the Rosemont red light camera court. So did Albrecht. Both lost for rolling through the red.
Of course, because the administrative law judges are fucking lawyers moonlighting for the village to rake in the bucks.
I don't see any signs saying you can't go. There's no pedestrians, no nothing.
Drivers also say the designated right turn acts as its own lane and tricks them into thinking they can keep on going. The Rosemont Superintendent of Police and Fire disagrees.
Now, do we also know that Rosemont is like a fucking hotbed of corruption with the Stevens family running things there? I've got something to say about this guy after you watch this.
Want to cheat anybody? We're not here to do a gotcha moment on anybody. The signs are posted in several locations stating red light camera enforced area.
There is a traffic signal to the left on the island, but look here, when you inch up the curve to look for traffic before going right, there's no signal on the right in the driver's cone of vision.
The light to the left doesn't apply to the right-hand turn.
Safety expert Timothy Galarnik has studied the national rules and standards for traffic lights at intersections.
I call it a Rosemont deceptive trap because they hoodwink the judges and the motorists.
He's saying because it's a designated lane, arguably someone may not even have to stop at all.
I believe if that was the case, the state would not allow that camera to be placed there and us to enforce that.
Well, could the state be wrong?
Well, we could all be wrong, right, Jason?
We could all be wrong, couldn't we, Jason? This fucker resigned. This guy they had to have something on him because he resigned. He left. And you can tell in his snarky attitude towards this reporter, they all know what this is about. They know what it's about in Rosemont. They know what it's about in Chicago. And golden silence, you mentioned here, but Jerry, most of the drivers on the video were doing a California roll and stop. There's no stoplight there, and there's no control signal once you pass that sign. And I stopped, and I'm sure a lot of other people stop.
Yeah.
When you make the right turn, that they nail you for it. So, I mean, it's very clear, with all respect, golden silence, that these are not about safety. These are about collecting revenue all throughout the city. Another traffic stop I went, there's a light, it's at an underpass by, near Elston. And it's like there's a light here, and then there's a light here. And when you go through this light, because the light behind it is still yellow, and you clear it, the traffic camera goes off from the first light. So it's like, and I went and I timed it. It's like they've got it timed so that they can nail you when you go through a yellow, when the light turns right after you go to the second light. So look, again, I'm not advocating for driving unsafely, but when you know that your municipality is clearly setting this shit up to collect money, on the backs of people who 6 miles over the limit and you get a ticket in that earlier story. It's ridiculous. And these people know it. And they're just fleecing all of us. When is it going to be enough? Kit, I get tired of coming on my show all the time and your show, because all we seem to be able to do is bitch about these people who are robbing all of us, who are fleecing all of us. We think we can vote them out. We vote new people in. They betray us also. It's just, I'm at a loss for reason.
Sooner or later, people are going to snap. I mean, right now
because I am.
our politicians. Here's the thing: at the city level here in Chicago, our politicians are also comfortable with continuing the status quo. Our federal elected officials are okay with kicking the can down the road and claiming, especially our progressive leaders, that, oh, we have a victory. Sooner or later, there's going to be a big drop, a big collapse. I don't know what's going to set it off, what it will look like. But I want to remind everyone that our lawmakers adjourned in the House of Representatives and chose not to extend the eviction moratorium. This lands on the Democrats, but this also impacts us all at the state level, at the city level, everywhere. There's going to be a breaking point to where people can say, I can't do this anymore. I can't participate in a society where I'm always on edge. We're exhausted. We're not lazy. We're not undisciplined. We're not tired. We're not ungrateful. We're all exhausted because throughout my entire life growing up, I'm hearing the same thing over and over again. Work, 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 work. Work hard, work hard, work hard. Work, 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 work. Hustle, 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 hustle. Play the game, play the game. Work, 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 work.
The American dream, the Horatio Algier myth that all the hard work's going to make you rich, and it doesn't if you don't have at least some generational wealth to start with.
No, it's not how it works. And in Chicago especially, we've been working our butts off, and these red light cameras contribute to more pain and misery in a city where, again, corruption runs freely. Our mayor allowed Deltapalooza to happen because of money. Our current mayor is still allowing the red light cameras to still continue on, even though she did campaign saying she was going to do something about them.
Nothing.
And yet she has done nothing about the red light cameras, the lead in our drinking water, the underfunding of our schools, the collapsing of our infrastructure, neighborhoods still being gentrified. Nothing has fundamentally changed, and we need new leadership. And that's why, again, for this show, for Chicago Corner, the main purpose is to get everyone aware that in 2023, we're going to have our city election here in Chicago. And we ask our viewing audience, even those who live outside, if they know anyone that lives in Chicago, if they have friends with people who live in Chicago, we got to get involved in this election cycle, and we need real progressives, independents, people who run outside of the two-party system to run for office so that we can bring in the much-needed change for Chicago, because this city is filled with good people. We just don't have good leaders.
It's absolutely what it comes down to. I want to bring our show to a close on a somewhat positive story.
We're ending on a good note. Hey, that's a rare thing.
I think I found something that's a good note. Some people might think it's not, but I think that it's actually representative of responsibility and people actually paying attention to what's going on. This comes from Block Club Chicago. Mauricio Peña. Little Italy Festival canceled again because of COVID-19 worker shortages. Canceling was one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make, one organizer wrote, but it's expected to return in 2022. I'm sure it was a tough decision. I'm sure a lot of people want to go out there and celebrate, but I will say this, I will commend them because it was the responsible decision in light of what we saw happening this past weekend with Lollapalooza. Chicago's Little Italy Festa has been canceled for the second year in a row. The Little Italy Chicago Neighborhood Association and Onesti Entertainment announced they would forego the annual Taylor Street Festival until 2022. With increasing uncertainty because of the Delta variant of the coronavirus, the organizers said they didn't want to overburden restaurants and businesses dealing with labor shortages. So many of our restaurant vendors are struggling with employees and are now just getting back into the game. Part of the reason why we do this event is to help the businesses not hurt them. Ron Onesti, founder of Onesti Entertainment, wrote in a Facebook post. This guy actually sounds like he knows what the hell he's talking about and doing. I mean, this is well thought out. This is properly, logically addressed. The organizers canceled the festival last summer because of the coronavirus. Other neighborhood festivals, including Taste of Randolph, Logan Square Arts Festival, Midsummer Fest in Andersonville, and the Silver and Block Club and Doe Division, have also canceled this year's events because of uncertainty around the pandemic and not having enough time to plan. The 4-day festival is usually held in August. It celebrates Italian heritage with live music, Italian dancing, food offerings, and meatball and pizza eating contest. Canceling the festival for the second year in a row was one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make, but sometimes you have to listen to your gut. And tough decisions are what's needed when the greater good is at stake, Onesti said.
Right.
I tip my hat to Onesti, and I look forward to next year's Little Italy Festival, because I think that if more people are being more cautious, as I've said in the past, I think that you need to look, if something is a priority, you do it. If it's an indulgence, you don't. And so much of these huge festivals with these massive humanity attending, these are indulgences. I know people are going to miss some of these festivals, but if it's going to keep people safer a little while longer, wouldn't you rather like more lives are saved and more people can survive than potentially spreading this around at the expense of, well, I'm selfish and I want to have a good time. Doesn't affect me. I'm vaccinated. Oh, I can pick up the Delta variant, but I won't die. But, oh, I can spread it even if I have the vaccination? Yeah. This is what's at stake here. So when I say this was a little bit of a positive story, I think it's positive in the sense that, thank God we've got some civic leaders and some planners actually thinking for other people and not just looking at the money grab and letting these things go forward at the expense of increasing our numbers here in Chicago. Now, if we want to talk about some other positive things, I do want to say, and I pass it to you also, Kit, the Medicare for All March. We've got a banner down at the bottom of the screen here. You can still sign the petition for Medicare for All. It's my understanding that the organizers are going to be petitioning the, let me open up the email I got from Joy Bunton, who was the main organizer. They're going to be petitioning the United Nations, the Human Rights Division on Medicare for All. They're actually going to be like filing a complaint with, I think it's the United Nations, on the fact that during the pandemic, the United States is not taking care of its people and giving Medicare for all. There's still time to sign that petition and do some good work helping the organizers who put the nationwide events together to advocate for all of us, which we were very proud to be invited to attend, and Kit, you emceed, and I had an opportunity to speak.
That was a great time.
Yeah, we're going to have Joy on the show, if not this Friday, perhaps the following Friday, along with Nimesh, to talk about some updates on where things are now past the March and what the groups nationwide are doing to further the cause of Medicare for All.
I will say this, that for a March for Medicare for All, if it does happen again in Chicago, I'd be more than happy to MC it. Shout out to Oreo. I hope we can have Oreo there as well.
Because I'm trying to get news to mention here. He's always, say hello to all the people, Oreo. Say hello. He doesn't talk much, but he's always very, very curious. He's a little love bug. He never leaves my side. I call him my minion because anytime I was out of town last week, and he has been following me around the apartment nonstop. When I go to the bathroom, he jumps up on the radiator and sits next to me to make sure everything comes out all right. He's a little sweetheart. But for those of you who've got animals and cats, I'm sure you understand he jumps up here. I can't necessarily toss him aside.
No, that's fine. But look, if there's going to be another March, count us in. There's a lot of stuff that we're working on, a lot of stuff that we want to do here in the city of Chicago. And if it means giving awareness to Medicare for All, fighting these horrible red light cameras, getting lead out of our drinking water, making sure we stop police corruption, then we got to make it happen, and we got to keep on pushing forward. And I'm really proud of the work that Chicago Corner is doing.
Kid, I appreciate that. I'm so grateful that I had this channel to join, your network to join, to have an opportunity to speak as a host over here and cover stories and join you guys on Hardlands Media. There's a lot of stuff happening over at Hardlands Media. I think it would be great for you to share with some of our Chicago Corner viewers. I'm going to be co-hosting, I think, tomorrow and Friday.
Well, actually, what's happening, you are co-hosting on Friday and Monday. I will actually be gone on a mini vacation.
Yes.
Somewhat. But I will. But we know that Jimmy Dore will be visiting us on the 7th.
That's the exciting news.
Yeah, we are actually gonna all of us. There's gonna be like So anyone that's going to go to Talia Hall to see Jimmy Dore, I actually reserved a table for like 11 of us, all like the entire team plus our guests as well. I'm really excited for it. I'm bringing a guest. Daniel is bringing his girlfriend Myra. Kira's going to be there with her husband. Lane is going to be there. Faye's is going to be there. E. Heller, you're bringing a guest.
I might be bringing a guest. I might be flying solo, but I'm used to that. But if so, I'll have wonderful company with you guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Point is, we got a table for 11. Yes. We have a table for 11, and it's going to be great at the Dusk Restaurant. We're going to be having a good time, and we're going to be eating some good food. And then we're going to be seeing the Jimmy Dore show live. Plus, he has a special guest who will be joining him with him and Steph. I don't know who this guest could be. I don't know who they could be, but
I wonder if if I were to guess, if he's touring, it might be Ron. But Graham Elwood's from Chicago also, and I'm wondering if maybe Graham might come back with him.
It could be Graham Elwood, it could be Ron Falcone, or it could be a guy who's going by the nickname the Buzzsaw. We don't know. We don't know
yet.
It could be anybody.
But we're excited. Jimmy's coming back to town.
That's right. It's going to be a great time, and plus, on a side note too. In 2020, we actually bought tickets to go see Jimmy Dore at Talia Hall, and because of the virus and everything else, Jimmy canceled it. We all got refunded. It was great. It was good to know that. It sucked that we couldn't see Jimmy Dore, but it's long overdue, and I'm happy to know that we're going to be going back to Talia Hall, so we're going to be there.
It's a great venue. It's going to be the first time for me to go there. I saw him at this comedy club in Rosemont by the airport. I think it was 3 years ago, before the pandemic. And it was funny because it's like I had just discovered him, and he was walking from the back of the club to the front. He just happened to pass me, and I was standing in front of him, and I went, Jimmy, and he was like, yeah. And he was, he was very, obviously very cordial. I couldn't contain myself because I'm just like, I was such a fan of his, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again this weekend. So it's going to be a good time for all of us.
Don't worry. And because you're with us, we know all the tips and tricks at Talia Hall, so we're gonna get the VIP treatments. Just
I can't wait.
Follow me and Daniel. I might be drunk off of some Templeton Rye. We're not sponsored by Templeton Rye, but I'll be drinking some Templeton Rye over there, and just follow us. I might be drunk, but follow us. So it'll be great. It'll be great. We got a whole plan out. It'll be great and awesome. And Pat Brannigan says I'm not allowed to take vacations. Last year in 2020, I took a 5-week vacation. So this is going to be just a 4-day vacation. So don't worry. When I take a vacation, I take a vacation.
If I'm following you, it sounds like I'm going to be holding you up more since you're going to be drinking so much.
Well, I got to guess. So I got to be more put together, actually. So
I'm sure you'll be fine. And I'm looking forward to meeting your guest. I've heard some buzz behind the scenes. So it sounds like it's going to be a really nice weekend.
So there we go. Yes, it will be a wonderful 4-day vacation for Kit Kat. But I want to remind everyone, too, that we also secured an interview with Jimmy Dore as well.
That's the news I was waiting for.
So that's going to happen when that premieres. Got to keep hush about that, but that'll be awesome. Can't wait for that. Can't tell you what day it'll take either, so on that. But it'll be awesome, and it's going to be – we're just going to have a great time. Everyone just be safe out there. Wash your hands and just take good care of yourselves. That's what matters the most.
Now, I want to also let our viewers know that this Friday, I tentatively have a special guest coming on the show. Her name is Mel Hernandez, and she was featured in an article on Block Club Chicago regarding issues in her community that she's involved in, challenges and issues in her community that she's involved in civic action, helping take care of regarding homeless initiatives, trafficking. I read her story on Block Club Chicago today, and I reached out to her on Facebook, and she said she'd love to join us. So I'm going to let her tell her story this Friday. In the meantime, I just want to encourage everybody, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're growing. I'm really excited to see our numbers go up. Please share our channel with your friends. Share links to our shows if you're so inclined. Let people know about it on social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. You can find all of our links in the description box below, along with our show notes. If it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it on Chicago Corner. Anything else you want to share, Kit, or are we going to say goodnight to the lovely people?
Otherwise, folks, just be safe out there. That's all I'm going to ask of you. Just be safe and help each other out because we are in some uncertain times.
And please also go to the Medicare for All link that's in our banner underneath us. Sign that petition for Medicare for All. That's an ongoing initiative that we're all involved in. And as I said, we're going to have the organizers on probably in another week to do some follow-up on what's happening since the march. Go to m4m4all.org. The petition pops up right as you visit the website. Thanks to everybody. Kit, always a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you this Friday and over the weekend. Chicago, stay safe. And this is Chicago Corner signing off.